I speak to a lot of studio owners who say that the reason for why they aren't growing their studio is because there's a lot of competition around. Have you ever thought to yourself, there's so much competition now, studios are popping up left and right in my town. Kids nowadays have so many options. It's not just dancing, but they have a million activities that they could choose from. And so, if that is you, if you've thought of these things before, in this video, I'm going to share with you how we've been able to help dance studios grow despite of being in highly saturated competitive areas, competitive markets. Okay, so um, if you watch until the very end of this video, at the very end, I'll share with you the strategy that we use to grow dance studios, even though they have a lot of competition around them. My name is Hervin Alvarez, and we own a company called Get More Students, where we help dance studio owners with increasing enrollment, saving time, reducing workload. We do that through the use of automation and marketing. And so if you're a studio owner interested in growing your studio, subscribe to the YouTube channel because you'll find here content that'll help you do exactly that. Okay, so let's dive right in. Now, I'm going to share with you a very controversial message. By the way, I'm reading from my screen. If you ever see me looking down, I've taken notes here for you. I'll share what those notes look like. Here so you can see I'm sharing my screen. So here's a controversial message for why your studio isn't growing. The reason why your studio isn't growing doesn't have to do anything with your competition. I'll say it again, and I know it's pretty controversial, and I know, a lot of you might not necessarily love this, that I'm saying this right away. The reason for why your studio isn't growing doesn't have to do anything with your competition. And, before you close this video and say you're absolutely wrong and you hate me, before you say like you don't know where I am, there's so many studios near me, there's so many studios around me, and new ones are popping up all the time. So before you think that and close this video, hear me out. So I've been able to help. Here's just two examples. You could check out our website, getmorestudents.com, and you can go to our success stories, and you can see here the success stories of lots of different studio owners who've been able to grow their studio despite of being in very saturated areas. In fact, these two studio owners right here, this lady was able to add 500 new students in 5 months, and she has 50 dance studios within 5 miles around hers. 50. There's a lot of dance studios near her. Then this studio owner, she's also London, Ontario, which is in terms of like radius around the city. It's not a huge city, but they're very populated. And there's a lot of studios where she is in, and she was able to really grow her studio with what I'm about to share with you. In fact, with the things that I'm going to share with you today, she was able to grow from less than 300 students to over 600 by implementing the things that I'm going to share with you. And so I've helped studio owners who are even close to each other, and they were both able to succeed, even though they were both close to each other. And in fact, there was even a point where I helped 3 studios who were really all close to each other, and they were all able to succeed. So yes, competition matters, and I'm not disregarding that, and I'm not saying that, competition doesn't matter. Yes, it does, but it matters less than you think. And so when I worked as a dance instructor, the studio where I worked in was in the same plaza as a competitor studio. Like literally, you could walk to it in less than a minute, you can get there. And both of our classes were packed. Now, get this. Years later, this other studio opened up literally within a 2-minute drive. So we were both in the same plaza. They were within a 2-minute drive. So, and I'm not exaggerating. Like it was literally that close. They, within like 6 months, they quadrupled the size. Both of our studios, let's just say our studio where I was working in and the competitor studio, let's just say, I don't remember how many students we had. Let's just say each one of us had 100. This studio got 200 people. So we had 100, they had 100, and they had 200. So they not quadrupled, they doubled the size that we had. And so how were they able to do that if there was already like competition between these two studios? How were they able to come in and add even more people? And so the answer is that I, at that point, why wasn't I growing like that other studio was growing? Why didn't I grow? Why did they add 200 people? Why didn't we add 200 people? And the answer is because I didn't treat our business like a business, our dance studio like a business. Now, keep in mind, I was working at this studio, but even then, like, I didn't have the mentality I didn't have the tools that I'm going to share with you today. Now, I want you to ask yourself for a second and think about this. Are you treating your studio like a business? Are you, and being honest with yourself is super important here if you want to make progress. I'll ask it again. Are you treating your dance studio as a business? Or do you treat it kind of like as your artistic passion outlet to share your passion with others, in which case is nothing wrong with that. But are you making sure that you're doing all of the things that a business requires in order to grow, like market, sales, and things like that? Or do you kind of treat it kind of like as a hobby, or you don't put attention into the business side of things and when it comes to the studio? And again, this is where being honest is really helpful if you want to grow. And I have another question for you. Do you ever close your enrollment? Now, this might not apply to dance studio owners to teach adults, but if you teach children at your studio, do you ever close your enrollment at the end of September, 2 months before the winter show and 2 months before recital? I'm sorry, at the end of June, right before right as the season ends. Do you close enrollment 1 month before recital? Do you close your enrollment during summer? Like I said, at the end of June, right as the season ends. Do you do all those things? And so here's the thing that a lot of studio owners, they don't consider, because I speak to a lot of them and they're like, oh, we never take in students, after 3 months after our season has started, because, the choreography's already been in progress. And then if new kids come in, that'll disrupt the class and so on. Most parents don't know how the dance year works. And so they might see their little girl dancing, somewhere in February, somewhere in March, and they might decide, you know what, let's give dancing a try. And so, for a lot of studio owners are like, no, I would never take this kid. They will disrupt the class. They'll have a bad experience. They don't know the choreography. My teachers will get frustrated. They won't want to let them in. And then other studio owners think this might be the only chance that this kid ever has to ever try dance, so I don't want to turn them down. It all depends on how you see it, okay? And so I work with many studio owners who never stop enrollment. So I just want you to pause for a second and think about that and consider the fact that it might be possible for you to never stop your enrollment. And so they open up specific classes. These are some of the ways that they do this. So they open up specific non-recital classes that students can sign up for at any point. They enroll new sessions. They enroll kids for new sessions happening in the future. So let's say right now it's March or April, and you're working towards like it's almost recital time, and you're not taking any kids. But if the kids want to jump on, they do sell them for either summer classes, summer sessions, summer camps, or they sell them for new registration. They register for the new season, but they never stop like advertising and taking new kids in. They also have teachers that start working on the choreography later in the year, so that they can keep taking new students even up until March, before the recital. And so they offer this. Here's another thing: they offer free trial classes. They offer a free private lesson if the kid enrolls 1 month before the recital so that they can catch the student up. And usually this ends up making them more money because the parents, they try the private lessons, and a lot of them are like, hey, we want to take a few more just to catch them up. And so, that's another option. Another option is that this studio owner, because a lot of you might be thinking, well, but what about the costumes? So some studio owners only buy in stock costumes so they can always get more. For the younger students, they if for whatever reason, they're not there to learn all of the choreographies, they can still be added to either the beginning and the finale, or just a finale routine with a recital t-shirt on. They don't need a costume. And then in the summer, they still hold regular classes. They don't take summer breaks. And I know for a lot of studio owners, not taking a summer break is weird because that's always what they've done. But think about it this way. If there's a studio open in the summer and another studio not open in the summer, they try calling this one, they don't answer, and they call this one and they do take in kids in the summer, they're going to go to the one that's open, right? And so let me share my screen here again. Not every idea that I just gave you is going to resonate with you, and you might not want to do all the things that I gave you. Especially if this is the first time you're hearing these ideas. If this is the first time you're ever considering the fact that you can choose not to close your enrollment. And so with that said, I ask you that if you're hesitant to implement any of the ideas, or if they don't resonate with you right away, don't immediately dismiss them. Don't disregard them right away. Instead ask yourself, if I wasn't able to close my enrollment, what would I do? How can I make that happen? And ponder on that for a second. Sit with that question instead of disregarding it immediately, because a lot of studio owners are like, oh, no, that'll never work for me. So I ask that you sit with it for a little bit, and I bet you if you sit with it for a while and you ask yourself, what if I couldn't close my enrollment? What would I do? You would start to come up with some answers for things that you could do differently. And you definitely want to try that out, because again, if Studio A, think about it this way. If Studio A, right? So you have Studio A and B, and Studio A only takes enrollment for 3 months, for September, October, November, and then that's it. December, they don't take any enrollment. January, February, they don't take any enrollment. Or maybe they just take in January at the beginning, and then that's it. So they take in 4 months out of the year, or even 9 months, right? Whereas Studio B never stops taking an enrollment. 12 months out of the year, they're taking in new students. Studio B, it doesn't necessarily mean that Studio B is going to be bigger, but they definitely have the chance of enrolling more students and the chance of growing, because they have their door opens all year round. Just imagine it this way. If Walmart closed 3 months out of the year and some other store open for 3 months out of the year, the people are still going to want to shop around. They're going to go to that other store, right? And Walmart is going to make less sales. Same thing here. So we want to, if possible, try to push the amount of months out of the year that you're taking in enrollment, because it's really going to help. And so here's the most important lesson. Okay, and I'm going to put myself here. So here's the most important lesson out of this video. The reason why your studio isn't growing is not because of competition. The reason why your studio isn't growing is because nobody knows that you exist. I'll say that again. The reason why your studio isn't growing isn't because the studio over there, the million studios that are popping up, it isn't because their studio is way better than yours, or there's so much more competition. It's just because no one knows you exist. And ponder that for a second. That's called obscurity. So obscurity, meaning nobody knows that you exist, you're in the shadows, is the real reason why your studio isn't growing. How many times, and let me know if this has ever happened to you, how many times have you ever thought to yourself, or have you ever had somebody walk in and they say oh my God, I didn't know you guys were here, and I've been in this town for 10 years. Or, oh my God, I've been driving down this road for so many years and I never knew you guys existed. If that's ever happened to you, that's why your studio isn't growing. It's because people don't even know you're there. And so sometimes we think as business owners that we're yelling super hard and we're getting out there in the community. Really, we're not, people aren't thinking about you, right? So you gotta be out there all the time consistently. Otherwise, even if you did one-time advertising and you got the word out there one time, that's still not enough, because within, a few hours, people are going to forget that you existed. And so let's go back a second to the story that I shared with you at the beginning, which is that there were two studios. So I was working at a studio. There was another studio right in the same plaza. Then another studio years later came into the scene, and they quickly enrolled 200 students. And each of us had 100 each. Why did that happen? Were they better dancers? Were they better teachers? And you might be tempted to say, yeah, that's why they got better. They got more students because they were better teachers. The reality of it is that they opened up their studio, and they were the studio owners taught teachers how to teach in 3 months. So these weren't great teachers at all. These were not teachers that have been teaching for years. They learned how to teach, in 3 months. They didn't have any degrees or anything. In fact, one of the teachers who started teaching for them used to be one of my students who got taught to teach in 3 months. And they were not better dancers. They were not better teachers, but they did a much better job at marketing themselves, at getting the word out there, letting people know that they existed. And so here's a major lesson that one of the studio owners, my business mentors shared with me, which is best known product always beats best product. Okay. And I want that to sink in here for a second. Best known product always beats best product. Okay. So, and the key word here is known, right? So if you could be the best dancer in the world, or the best teachers, or your studio could have the best teachers, the best instructors, the best dancers, but if no one knows you exist, your studio exists, I guarantee you they won't go to you because they don't even know you, right? And so most studios, so let me tie this in and let me conclude this right here and say, the answer is you got to get known. You got to get out there. You got to market your studio. You got to make noise. You got to let people know that you exist. You got to be online. You got to have a great online presence. You got to be marketing every day. You got to be advertising. You got to be posting on social media. You got to do all these things to get the word out there. Most studios, on the other hand, only rely on word of mouth to grow their studios. Okay, so most studio owners, and ask yourself if this is true for you. If I were to ask you, how do most people find out about your studio? What I've heard from other studio owners is number one, they might not even know. Number two, they might say oh, word of mouth. And don't get me wrong, word of mouth is fantastic. It means that you have a great product, but word of mouth alone is not going to get you to grow to the numbers. If you're looking to really grow, you're going to need to rely on something more than just word of mouth. Because word of mouth, if you have 100 students, not 100 of them are going to be talking about you all the time. Maybe 5 of them per month, right? You're going to get 5% of people word of mouth. But what if you want to attract more than just 5 people per month? Or if you have 200 students, 10 people are going to be talking about your studio, right? So lots of studio owners that I speak to, they think that advertising and marketing doesn't work. They're afraid of spending money. They're afraid of, they might have tried advertising a few times, but it didn't work. So they think, oh, it just doesn't work for dance studios or something like that, or it doesn't work for me. The truth is that advertising is hard. It takes time it takes tweaking, but it does work. Okay. So how do you get known? And so that's what I'm going to share with you here. By the way, I appreciate you sitting here in this video and watching all the way to the very end. I'm going to share with you the strategy that we've used to help dance studio owners grow regardless of the amount of competition they have around them, even if they're surrounded by competitors. So here's what they do in order to grow. So number one, Google reviews. Now, why is that? Let me show you here. This used to be our studio right here. Back when we had our studio, this was us. This is me and my business partner dancing. And then right here where it says 241 Google reviews, what this meant is that we were ranking higher in the search results than everybody else, which means that more people will go visit our website. Okay, so the more Google reviews you have, on top of that, your Google My Business listing, make sure that you have here something that says dance school, right? Because that's how people will find you. So if I type in like dance schools near me, this is what people type in when they want to find a dance studio, right? So if you type in dance studios near me or dance classes for kids near me, or salsa classes for adults near me, you want to make sure that the studio showing up higher up in the search results. How do you do that? Google reviews is one of the best ways to do that. Okay, so that's something that we've always helped the studio owners that we're helping with, those Google reviews. The next step is the website. So your website needs to be built in a way that you can capture leads from it. So I'll show you here one of the studio owners who's working with us. And we helped her build her website. And you can see here what we've done. This button right here that says new students start here. New students start here. New students start here. New students start here. We added this chat widget. We added that button everywhere on the side. New students start here. Why? Because we want people, once they find out that you exist, they see your Google reviews, they go to your website. We want to capture their information. Right? So that is something very important. For a lot of people, when they visit your website, they might not necessarily want to like read all the information on your website. They might just want you to feed them the information that's relevant to them. And so having a place where you can capture what we call capture leads, capture their information, is a way for you to generate more inquiries. Okay. So the next step is once people go to your website, they fill out a form, right? So we're sending them to a place where they're filling out a form where they're giving us their name, phone number, and email for that reason, because we want to stay in touch with the people who inquire. We want people who visit our website to give us their information, because think about it this way. If there are two studios, right? If the parent visits two studios, they visit this website and this website. If your website right here captures their information and this website does not, you have the advantage. You're able to talk to the leads, that you're able to talk to the new students who are interested in coming in and trying your classes. Okay, so that's something that we want to do. Next, from there, the other way we generate new inquiries is through advertising on Facebook and Instagram. So we want to put advertising out there, right? And I know advertising is difficult. I know I know advertising is hard. Facebook changes all the time. Meta changes all the time. The pixel, the targeting, the custom audiences, all of the things, all the techie stuff is difficult and it changes. I know it is. But it's super worth it, because if you can figure out how to advertise for your studio, and by the way, we totally help with this. And just to be transparent, if this is helpful and you think, oh, wow, I might want to work with you guys because you guys know what you're talking about, go to our website, getmorestudents.com, book a call, and we're happy to tell you more about our program. But is it exactly this? We help you set up Facebook and Instagram advertising campaigns to target parents who are near your studio to get them to inquire about your dance classes, right? That is, advertising is the easiest way for you to generate interest, because you're able to pay to show up in front of parents who might be interested in taking their kids to dance classes who are near your studio. Super, super important. Okay, so next, once people see your ad, they go to a lead form where you're capturing their information. You're going to capture the leads information to make sure now that you're able to reach out to them. And how are you going to do that? You're going to reach out to them with Studio Hub. So when people fill out the form, and people, whether they're coming from the ads or they're coming from your website, they're gonna go to Studio Hub, which is our platform. Again, if you're interested in checking it out and getting a demo for it, we're more than welcome to give you a demo. You could just go to getmorestudents.com and schedule a call right here. Okay, so you could see how that all works. Now, once people go into Studio Hub is going to start a conversation with them automatically. So we have automations that are already built that we give you that are going to follow up with all of the new inquiries within 1 minute of them inquiring. Now, think about this. The parents who are looking for dance classes, right? These parents are busy. They have a lot going on. They have their kids that they need to look out for. They need to look after. They probably have a life going on outside of everything else. So then these parents have a lot going on. So you want to follow up with people as soon as they inquire. Within 1 minute of them inquiring, you want to stay on top of them. Now, that's impossible to do if you're doing it manually, but that is why the automation exists. You want to follow up with every single inquiry that you get within 1 minute of them inquiring. And so the way to do that is through using automation, and that's what Studio Hub is about. That it's going to follow up with all of the new leads that you're getting. It's going to follow up with them immediately. If for whatever reason they stop responding to you and start ghosting you, it's going to follow up with them to try to get them to re-engage. If you ever see them, so that it prevents people from falling through the cracks. And then it does this. Let me show you right here. So you're going to start the conversation with them. Once you figure out which class the parent wants to come in and try out for their kid, or if you own a dance studio for adults, which class they want to come try out, you can book them for a free trial. Okay, excuse me. You can book them for a free trial. And then what that is going to do is going to send them automated reminders. Okay, so it's going to send them a reminder the day before their class, the morning of their class, 1 hour before their class. Why? Because you don't want people to forget. Like I said, people are busy, they're forgetful, and you don't want them to slip through the cracks, and which is why we're sending those reminders to try and get people to walk into your studio, because it's so much easier to enroll them, right? To enroll them once they've walked in through your doors, once they're there. It's so much harder to enroll them, if they just saw your ad. A lot of studio owners, they think like, oh, if I could just have them see my ad and then just enroll right away. It doesn't work. You got to have at least a conversation with them. Now, having the conversation, sometimes you could skip the trial. If you're a studio owner that doesn't offer trials, you can skip it and just go straight for the enrollment if you know how to have a conversation with them, a sales conversation over text message or over the phone, which we teach you how to do in our program. But that's how it works. This is the program. This is how our program works, and how we've been able to help studio owners grow despite of them being in very competitive, saturated markets. And so if you're in an area where you have a lot of competition around you, and you're wondering, and you're thinking to yourself, man, I haven't been growing because there's so much competition around me. Ask yourself, am I doing, whoops, I'm sharing a screen on there we go. Okay, ask yourself, am I doing everything that I can possibly do in order to grow my studio? Okay, am I focusing in on the business side? Am I closing enrollment? Am I marketing? Am I doing my sales do I just focus on the business side of things? Because if you don't, that's why you aren't growing. It isn't because of your competition. Yes, competition is not good, as in it definitely doesn't help that you have competition, but it's not the end of the world if you do. If you knew how to market, if you knew how to get the word out there, I can promise you that you'll grow even if there's a lot of competition around you. So with that said, if you're curious and you want to work with us, go to getmorestudents.com, check out our success stories, schedule a call. If you're interested in seeing content like this, if you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Would really appreciate it. Leave me a comment down below if this was helpful, and share it with a friend So yeah, I hope this helps. I hope you guys grow your studio. Hopefully this has been insightful. Follow this plan. You could take this and do it on your own, you know. You can ask right now, pause this video, ask right now your students, your current students right now, people that you trust, to leave you Google reviews, have a form on your website to capture leads, try and set up some Facebook and Instagram advertising. There's some videos. If you go to our YouTube channel, you'll be seeing some videos of us that I'm releasing for, how to write Facebook ads copy for a dance studio. I'm showing there. I think next week you'll see a video where I show exactly how to set up Facebook and Instagram advertising campaigns for dance studios. If you want to see that, subscribe to the channel. I hope this has been helpful. And yeah, this is whoops. This is all, guys. Thank you so much for watching. See you.